Hey folks, in this video I'll be reviewing a new site that could be a very useful tool for serious chess players, especially because it could just become a real alternative to Chessbase. So I'm talking about a site that allows you to save and analyze your games, save all your analysis, build your opening repertoire, and prepare for future opponents. And the best part is that since it's fully web-based and cloud-based, that unlike Chessbase, what that means is that it works on Macs. So today I'm talking about Chessify. Now Chessify has been around for a little while. They've run this cloud-based engine service where you can rent really strong engines like Stockfish or Leela and run them locally on your computer. But lately, Chessify has been working on their new web app that could basically serve as a very real alternative to Chessbase. Now, Chessbase has been around for many years, and I would say is definitely the top dog in this market. I've been using Chessbase for a long time. Pretty much every titled or professional player that I know uses Chessbase. But for many tournament players that don't have it yet, I did a review on this channel not too long ago where I talk about who is the best use for, whether it's worth the cost and all that stuff. Of course, Chessbase has its drawbacks. It's very expensive. It can be hard to use. A lot of people, they don't like the user interface. It's too clunky. It's too complicated. And I totally understand all that. There are also some free alternatives out there, like Chess Studies are super popular and totally fine for a lot of chess players. Chess.com has this new library feature where you can store and save games. But in general, these free alternatives aren't going to be as powerful in terms of the engine that you can use, in terms of their database not being fully up to date. So Chessify comes in as actually a really interesting in between for someone that doesn't want to spend a couple $100 on Chessbase, but wants something with a little bit more power than one of the free options. Well, Chessify actually is a very, very interesting alternative for a lot of club and tournament players out there. So here we've got the actual web app from Chessify. As soon as you log in, you basically get to this page. And if you've ever used Chessbase before, you'll probably be pretty familiar with the look and feel of this window. Obviously, we have the chessboard on the left-hand side. Above my camera, we have the notation window where you'll see all of the moves and analysis that you have. If you just want to get started and start building an opening file or going through the game, of course, you can just make moves in, and the notation window will track the moves that you're playing. Of course, you can input variations as well, and I'll ask you to select, do you want this to be a variation, a new main line, or just overwrite the move altogether? So very, very similar to the way Chessbase does things in terms of building the variations and analyzing your game, inputting variations and going through it. Down here, we have a list of annotation symbols. Again, if you've used Chessbase or Chess Studies, something like that, you'll be pretty familiar with these. But this is where you can actually annotate the game, add exclams, add evaluations, and things like that. All of your analysis and files that get saved to the Uploads tab here. I started building some folders already. And so for example, if you save a game, you can put it into a folder and then access it later. You can also upload your existing PGNs and then open them up and go through them, make changes, eventually save, and then all that stuff gets stored into your folders. Overall, things are pretty intuitive. For example, down here, we have the import export button. So what this lets you do is this lets you either copy the PGN and take it to somewhere else, or if you wanted to input a PGN, let me just copy this one and make a new game here. I'll import the PGN. This lets you, of course, plug the game in. Then you have your notes and all of your analysis right there in one place. Next, we've got the reference tab. So I'm just going to go to move 2 of this game and hit reference. And what this does is it searches the position on the board against Chessify's online database. They've got something like 8-9 million games, a very full and up-to-date database. As you can see, based on the date of the games, they actually have games from very, very recent, just like a couple of days ago. From all the latest, open tournaments and so on. So you can take a look at all the games. You can filter by ELO rating to just see the highest rated players that have played this position. One very useful feature is to click over here. This is the filter button, and this allows you to filter through the games if you want games from a specific date or with a specific result or with a specific player or with a specific player playing a specific color. Let's say you only want to see Carlsen's games with white in a certain opening, you'll be able to filter and search through. Another very useful option is this button here, ignore Blitz and Rapid. These days, there's all these online tournaments, Title Tuesdays, Champions Chess Tour. All these games are going into the database and mixing in with the classical games. So for example, if you're building an opening repertoire, maybe you don't want to look at all the Blitz and Rapid games, maybe you just want to focus on the classical games only, then this of course is a very useful option to select, because then that'll take out all the Blitz and Rapid games from the database, so you're just left with classic games. So this whole thing is of course very, very useful for when you're building a repertoire. You can see the most commonly played moves in the position, see what opponents are more likely going to play against you. Again, you can also like filter by specific ratings to see only what high rated players do, low rated players do, and so on. So this is very, very useful when it comes to just building out your openings from scratch. But also if you already have an opening file, you can import it. You can see what the latest games have been showing in terms of the moves, what people have been playing, and of course you can keep analyzing your openings this way. If you want to analyze with the engine, because of course you do, they've got some engine options down here, and they have different engines available based on your package and what kind of plan you've signed up for. My camera of course is blocking the engine a bit, but as you can see, you're able to run Stockfish, analyze the positions as you're looking through the database. Of course, you can also go back to your notation window and just use the engine here. They've got a couple different versions of Stockfish. I think their free version is essentially comparable to the browser engines that you'll see like on Lichess or chess.com, which I think is going to be suitable for the majority of chess and tournament players out there. If you're not very, very high rated, you probably don't need a super strong engine. But for advanced players, title players, professional players, Chessify does offer much stronger versions of Stockfish that you can use either by subscribing to one of their higher plans or just by purchasing coins and renting the engine directly. So that is pretty useful if you don't have a strong computer and you want access to a strong engine. And I was curious, so I compared one of the stronger versions of Stockfish that they have against my local desktop PC that I have here. My desktop has about 16 cores in the CPU, so it's quite strong. It's generally going to be much stronger than the average browser engine, but it was actually very, very comparable to, again, the stronger version of Stockfish that Chessify has. I input some tricky positions where there's a win that's not easy for the computer to find. You know, I let both engines loose at the same time. I time tracked it, and a lot of times Chessify was finding the solution faster. Sometimes my local PC was finding the solution quicker. So it was really, really very similar in terms of the processing speed and power. Now, the very cool thing about Chessify being browser-based is that it means you can access it from any device. So not just your computer, but also your tablet or your phone. And this can be super convenient if, for example, you're at a tournament and you get your pairing and there's not a lot of time to prepare for the game. You might not have time to run back up to your hotel room, open up your laptop, look up your opponent, review your files, and all that. And so it could be a lot easier to be able to just take out your phone and start reviewing your notes or look someone up that way. In fact, just recently I was at a tournament. I was at the US Open. I had about 10 minutes left before the round. I was actually walking to the game, and then I remembered like some line that I hadn't checked in a while that all of a sudden I was worried could actually happen during the game. So I whipped my phone out, I went to Chessify, used the mobile browser, and I was able to look up the line, see just like the latest games, analyze a little bit with the cloud engine. And of course, I only had 5 minutes. You're not going to be able to do a ton of prep work in 5 minutes, but it was actually very, very cool that I was at least able to like check the line just quickly, just to see like, okay, what are the latest games here? What moves have been played? What does the engine think about this position? And just this like 2-minute analysis, gave me like a little bit of confidence going into the game. Of course, line, didn't come up. It never does, but just being able to do that and being able to do this from your phone I think is a very, very useful feature. So Chessify has a number of pricing plans available depending on what you're looking for and your budget. Obviously, they've got the free plan, which is great if you just want to try things out and see how you like it. Then, of course, they have more expensive plans based on what you may need it for. These are the monthly prices, so it will be cheaper if you sign up for the year. And in terms of comparing the cost to Chessbase, I would say it's pretty similar if you compare it to just buying Chessbase, buying the mega database in terms of the total cost. But if you are just looking to try things out for a bit, then of course it's much cheaper to just sign up for a month, see how you like it, and then take it from there. So depending on your budget and what you're looking for, of course, you can choose the right plan for you. And right now, if you check the description to this video, you'll find a special link there that will give you 20% off any of the plans. So make sure to check that out if you're so interested. So that's going to do it. Once again, I think Chessify could be a really interesting alternative, especially if you're someone that's been on the fence about Chessbase, not sure if you want to invest the money to get it. Chessify's app is still very fresh and very new. They're constantly adding features and updating it all the time. So I would definitely encourage you guys to at least try it out, see how you like it. And if it's not for you, it's not for you. But if you do like it, then again, I think it could be a very, very cool option for the future. Do use the link in the description below to sign up if you want to get 20% off any of their plans. And lastly, if you're a member of the Dojo training program, Chessify is offering you an even better deal. We'll post details for that in the Discord that you can check out. But they're actually offering 2 free months to every Dojo training program member. That is, just for being a member of our program, you get 2 free months of their master plan free just to totally try it out and get the full experience. Or you can get 40% off of one of their plans. But again, we'll post details for that in our Discord server for any members that are interested in taking up the offer. All right, folks, that's gonna do it for this video. Hopefully you have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.